Hello everybody, today we're going to take a look at the list of House Democrats that Republicans are targeting in the upcoming midterms. We already took a look at the list of the targets that the Dems had. Today it's going to be for the GOP. Now this came out back in March, so it's entirely possible they release an updated list in the next few months. But the headline here is NRCC names 26 House Democrats to initial target list for 26. And then there's a picture there of Jared Moskowitz. Let's get down into it. Now Republicans right now hold a very thin majority in the House. Typically the party in power loses seats in the midterms. So it seems more likely than not that Dems are going to have some pickups and flip control of the House. But there's always a chance we see something different. And then we've got a quote here from the chairman. It says, House Republicans are in the majority and on offense. Both sides say that every time. They always act like the agenda of the other side is out of touch with everyday Americans. So we're not going to read this entire thing, but we can get down into the full list here. We've got 5 alone just in California. That's going to be the most out of any state, and that probably makes sense. Now some of these are more attainable than others. Some of them might have trended redder, so Republicans are hoping to accelerate the trend. But there's a bunch of these that also seem like they're too much of a reach, such as Darren Soto in Florida. The more competitive district would be the one with Jared Moskowitz. Florida has gotten pretty red over the past 10 years, but at this point I'm going to guess that Republicans are banking on redrawing the map during the next redistricting cycle to maybe pick up another one of these blue seats. We'll look at a few of these in detail in just a moment. But we've also got Nellie Poe here in New Jersey. That's a blue district, but it got much more competitive than most people expected for president. But that might be a situation where the map is not going to be friendly enough for Republicans to make a gain in that state. You've also got the 3 blue districts in Nevada, but Dems drew the map in a way that makes it so Republicans are going to have a tough time there. There's also some perennial other targets here like Marcy Kaptur in Ohio and Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez in Washington. Those candidates have proven to be durable through multiple elections. So how many of these are actually on the table for the Republicans? Well, here's the 69 races that were within 10% or less back in 24. 4 out of the 5 closest races were won by Democrats, and there were 11 in total that were under 2% margins. Now 5 of those were won by the Democrats, so those are theoretically the easiest districts that could flip. But again, the biggest obstacle for the Republicans here is they're already the party in power. So unless they defy the historical expectations, they're likely to at least lose a couple of seats. But if they're looking into the details with different demographics and trying to accelerate the trends to put new places in play, then they could be looking at some of these districts that went blue by 4, 5, maybe even 6 or more points. It's not necessarily that they would win those, even if it turns out that the national environment is more favorable for them, but it is all about the margins. That could set up a race in 1 or 2 elections from now where they actually could make a play for it. Now let's look at 3 districts that might be the best opportunity for the Republicans. Now all of these were won by Trump, and let's start off with the one that he had the biggest margin in. That's going to be in Maine, and that's the 2nd congressional district. That's in the northern part of the state. It has a lot more land than the 1st district, and it is represented by a Democrat, Jared Golden. He's considered more moderate. Now the median household income here is $61,700. With the racial breakdown, we've got about 91% white, and the Cook PVI here has it at R+4. This is that kind of more blue-collar district that has trended more toward Trump and the Republicans. But Trump at the top of the ticket has been way more compelling for these voters than Republicans down ballot. If we go down here and take a look at the recent races, we could see Trump won it by between 9 and 10 points in 24. Angus King, the independent in the Senate, also won by about 9. Back in 2012, it was Obama that won this district by about 10 points. Now since then there has been redistricting, but the boundaries have not changed all that much. So if Trump could win by 9 or 10 at the top, then what happens down ballot? Well, let's see. In the U.S. House, in 2020, Jared Golden won by 6 points. He got 53%. Now, there is ranked choice voting in Maine, but in 2022, it was pretty much a similar margin for Golden. But in 24, it was extremely narrow. Golden won by less than 1%. So about 10% of voters in that district supported Trump, and they crossed over and supported Golden. This is a rare golden opportunity, no pun intended, for the Republicans to go on offense. Golden has proven to be a tough incumbent, but if he decides to run for a different office, this would likely be a pickup for the Republicans in an otherwise likely unfriendly environment. Let's look at another district. This had the narrowest margin out of every race in 24. This is California's 13th. And there's not a lot of districts in California that have a great shape to them, but this one's actually not too terrible. So this one has a Hispanic majority at about 66%. The median household income is about 65,500, and Cook does rate it at R+1. Now look at these recent election results. We've got Trump winning it here by more than 5 points, 51 to 46. You'd think that would translate down into the US House, but it didn't. Now again, there's been redistricting, but back in 2020, Biden won this by double digits. So what actually happened here in the US House? Well, here's the recent 3 results. After redistricting, Republicans did win it. John Duarte secured a very narrow victory. But then in 24, he was narrowly defeated by Adam Gray. It was by less than 200 votes. But at the same time, again, Trump won by more than 5 points at the top. Now, I would expect Democrats to be able to hold this in the midterms. For one, again, it's expected to be the national environment. But number 2, Trump is not going to be on the ballot. So those voters that came out to support him are not going to be as excited. But even with that said, candidate quality could be another factor, and the trends could make this another extremely competitive race. So Dems have got to go on defense here. Republicans have another rare opportunity to potentially go on offense. Now let's look at one more district. This is going to be in Texas, and this is going to be in South Texas. This is the 28th district. Now this is kind of a weird looking district. This touches all the way from San Antonio down to the border with Laredo. And we know this part of the state and these demographics have moved a lot toward Trump over the past couple of elections. We can see the median household income here is 63,000, and there's a large Hispanic majority here, over 75%. In the past, this was and has been solid blue territory. Take a look at these recent statewide results. Trump won this district by about 7 points in 24, but they did support Colin Allred, the Democrat, over Ted Cruz in the Senate by about 1%. Trump was the only Republican they supported here on all these races going back to 2008. In 12, Obama won here by 22 points. So there's been a ton of rightward shift here. It doesn't mean it's going to continue, but there's no question Republicans have got to go on offense here. Henry Cuellar is the Democrat that represents this district. Like Jared Golden in Maine, he's considered a moderate blue dog. He's also got his own baggage to deal with. Let's see how he's done in recent elections. In 2018, Republicans didn't even field a candidate here. Cuellar got 84.4%. In 2020, Republicans did put up a candidate, but Cuellar still won by 19. He got 58.3. Then in the 22 midterms, it started to become more competitive, but Cuellar still won by double digits. He's at 56.6. Then in 24, we could see it narrow up considerably. Cuellar winning it by about 5.5. He's at 52.8. Now, an easier way to figure out which districts might be the most competitive are going to be right here. This is a table of the crossover districts. These are the ones that were won by Trump or Harris at the top, but in the House, they supported the opposite party. And if there's another thing in Republicans' favor, it's going to be right here. There's 13 districts that Trump was able to win at the top, but they went blue in the House. So theoretically, there is enough Republican support there. But then you get into other things like enthusiasm, candidate quality, and more local issues. Now, on the flip side, if the environment is favorable, Dems are going to be looking to hold every one of these 13 districts. But you can see in this second column here, this is Trump's margin in 24. His best one was that district in Maine where he won by 9.5. So there is still a narrow slice of the electorate that's willing to cross over in the same election. So if Republicans are going to pick up any seats, it's going to be in these 13. It's possible they pick up one, but Democrats just pick up 5 or 6 of their own and still come out with a net gain. The Dems only have 3 districts that Harris won at the top, but then they supported a Republican for Congress. We took a look at those in the other video that I did in the targets for the Dems. And another teaser that could be a factor in the upcoming election are going to be these mid-decade redistricting changes. There's ongoing lawsuits in several different states here. Most of these would benefit the Dems if the maps were redrawn. Either way, it's still way too early to really say what type of national environment we're going to be looking at. History says it should at least lean blue, but you never know. At this point, if I had to bet, I would bet on the Dems flipping it. But every once in a while, something unexpected happens. And if you were wondering where Republicans could go on offense, it's going to be right here. So let me know in the comments, which districts do you think Republicans actually have a good shot at picking up next year? Do you think they're going to pick up any, or do you think they're going to lose all 13 of these that Trump won? Let me know what you're taking a look at down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.